What is brain fog? And why is it becoming an epidemic? You sit down to do something important, maybe answer an email, finish a task, read something you need to read, and then nothing. Your brain just will not cooperate. You know what you need to do, but getting started feels like pushing through wet concrete. That is not laziness. That is brain fog. And it is happening to more people, more often than at any point in recorded history. So what is it actually, and why is it getting worse? Brain fog is not a medical diagnosis. It is a cluster of symptoms: difficulty concentrating, trouble following conversations, forgetting things you just heard, a feeling of mental slowness that does not go away with sleep or caffeine. Researchers describe it as cognitive dysfunction that sits just below the threshold of clinical impairment, which means most people who have it are told they are fine. A 2024 study published in Frontiers in Human Neuroscience analyzed 25,796 people who reported experiencing brain fog. The most common symptoms were difficulty focusing, difficulty concentrating, trouble following conversations, and forgetting appointments. The researchers found that brain fog sufferers scored measurably worse on cognitive flexibility, the ability to switch between tasks and filter out distractions, even when other cognitive measures appeared normal. Here is what makes this significant. Cognitive flexibility is not a small thing. It is the mental skill behind almost everything that requires sustained effort. Reading, writing, problem solving, making decisions. When that degrades, everything that depends on it degrades with it. Now here is where it gets more serious. The same study found that brain fog was most strongly associated with three things: a history of concussion, migraines, and long COVID. That last one is the reason researchers started paying much closer attention. Since 2020, reports of brain fog in otherwise healthy adults have risen sharply. A 2025 study from Yokohama City University used a new brain imaging technique to directly measure receptor activity in the brains of people with long COVID brain fog. What they found was a widespread increase in AMPA receptor density. Receptors critical to learning and memory throughout the brain. The researchers described this as a measurable biological condition, not a subjective complaint. But here is the part that matters for people who never had COVID, because the same receptor disruption, the same pattern of reduced cognitive flexibility, shows up in people experiencing chronic stress, poor sleep, high sugar consumption, and sedentary lifestyles. You do not need a viral infection to end up with a brain that cannot concentrate. Modern life is producing the same outcome through different routes. So what do you do about it? The research points to three areas that have the most consistent evidence behind them. First, sleep quality, not just hours, but deep restorative sleep, which is when your brain clears waste products, including the proteins associated with cognitive decline. Second, physical movement. Even 30 minutes of walking has been shown to improve cognitive flexibility scores within hours. Third, reducing inflammatory load, which means processed foods, high sugar, and chronic psychological stress are all directly connected to the cognitive symptoms people describe as fog. A fourth area that has grown significantly in research interest is targeted nutritional support. Specific compounds, including those that support AMPA receptor function, mitochondrial energy in neurons, and acetylcholine production, are being studied for their role in cognitive clarity. Some people exploring this space look at supplements specifically formulated for focus and mental clarity. I have looked into this, and there is one worth checking out if you are interested. Link is in the description. I earn a small commission if you purchase through it at no extra cost to you. Full transparency. But the foundations come first. No supplement replaces sleep, movement, and reducing the inputs that are causing the problem. If this was useful, subscribe. This channel covers the science of how your brain works and how to work with it rather than against it. Next video, what one bad night of sleep actually does to your ability to learn, and why the research number is more alarming than most people expect. See you there.